2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, the 10th of January, and it's National Houseplant Appreciation Day. And a big happy birthday to Rod Stewart, George Foreman, Jared Kushner, and Pat Benatar. The weekend marked 150,000 COVID-related deaths in the UK since the start of the pandemic. The UK is the first country in Europe to pass the grim milestone. Boris Johnson tweeted his condolences to families and friends affected and reiterated the only way out was for everyone to get vaccinated. Meanwhile, Education Secretary Nadine Zahawi denied reports there were imminent plans to end free lateral flow tests.
For January alone, we've got 425 million lateral flow tests coming in, and they'll continue to be available for free because actually we've got 3 lines of defence: the booster, testing, and antivirals. So I don't really recognise where that story is coming from.
So to be clear, there are no plans at the moment.
Absolutely not.
To stop lateral flow tests being free?
Absolutely not.
He also backed calls to reduce the COVID self-isolation period from 7 days to 5 in a bid to help staffing shortages.
It would help with staff absenteeism, hence why I think if the experts deem it appropriate that you can have 2 negative tests on consecutive days, as we do now with day 6 and 7, then it's a good thing to keep under review.
The Labour Party's called for a windfall tax on North Sea gas and oil producers to help reduce the cost of energy bills. The move could save households £200 when prices are set to rise in April. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves said it was right to tax those who'd benefited from the higher gas and oil prices.
And that's why I'm putting forward a one-off increase in the taxes paid by North Sea oil and gas. They are likely to make record profits this year because of that spike in prices. Let's tax them a bit more and use that money to reduce bills for ordinary people who are struggling so much at the moment.
Tory MP Chris Skidmore said he was also in favour of energy companies paying a carbon tax to help tackle the climate crisis.
Yeah, a windfall tax, whether you call it that, whether you want to call it a carbon tax, something I would rather sort of talk about is how we achieve carbon taxation for the future is absolutely, I think, the right way to go.
Violence has escalated further in Kazakhstan during anti-government riots which began last week over a rise in fuel prices. At least 164 people have now been killed in the conflict, with almost 6,000 arrested, according to President Tokayev, who said the country's largest city had been attacked by 20,000 bandits and terrorists. But US Secretary of State Antony Blinken condemned the president's shoot-to-kill directive being used to control the situation.
We've made clear that we expect the Kazakh government to deal with protesters in ways that respects their rights.
The orders now are shoot to kill.
That is something I resolutely reject. The shoot to kill order, to the extent it exists, is wrong and should be rescinded.
Novak Djokovic has won his case against the Australian government. Judge Kelly ruled the decision to quash his visa was unreasonable and that he should be immediately released from custody and have all of his personal effects, including his passport, returned to him. That in theory means that he could be able to play in the Australian Open, but the government's considering other options. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, speaking before the verdict, felt the rules were pretty clear.
Well, the matter is before a court, but in relation to the government, our government, the federal government's advice to Tennis Australia, that was set out very clearly in November. As I read the extract from this very podium, it could not been more clear.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Andrew Garfield ponders a possible Spider-Man return and Danny Dyer's leaving the square. Right after this. Welcome back.
The weekend saw third round FA Cup action with Liverpool, Spurs, West Ham, Man City and Chelsea all safely through. Things didn't go as well for Newcastle, who lost 1-0 at home to League One minnows Cambridge United. Sunday saw Arsenal also dumped out of the Cup at the third round as they lost 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. Arsenal were playing in a special limited edition all-white kit as part of a campaign to highlight the epidemic of knife crime in London. And that saw Idris Elba join the ITV commentary team to help raise awareness of what's a huge issue in London.
It's absolutely in response to the knife crime crisis that we've got going on. Last year, 30 kids, I'm going to say kids, died senselessly over knife crime, and it's an ongoing problem. And Ian and I teamed up with Arsenal and Adidas to sort of make a point and say something about it.
The Golden Globes were held on Sunday night, although it was a rather muted affair after a diversity backlash against its organisers led to an A-lister boycott and NBC dropping its broadcast. The celeb-free event, which wasn't even televised, saw Jane Campion's Power of the Dog and Succession pick up the big prizes. If an award ceremony happens and there's no one around to see it, did it actually even happen? And despite winning Best Actor for his role in Tick, Tick, Boom, Andrew Garfield might not be hanging up his old Spider-Man suit just yet. When asked if he'd ever don the red mask again, the star said, never say never.
So if there's a way for me to continue to add to the legacy of that character in a way that feels like it's of service to an audience, of service to the themes, the themes that Stan Lee kind of, injected that character with, I'm open, of course. I'm very, very open.
Would you Adam and Eve it? Danny Dyer's quitting EastEnders after 9 years in Albert Square. He's reportedly been poached for a new Sky drama series, but don't cry into your pint just yet, he'll still be in the Queen Vic until later this year. As for what he's going to do next, he recently said on his podcast he'd like to have a stab at cracking the United States.
I'd still like to have a go at America.
Yeah, you would like to go to
Why
America.
not? Why the not?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm 44. Why not have one final crack at the whip? You know, bring a little documentary crew with me and stuff and sort of film the whole thing and film the failures.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.